Three, two, one. What's going on, everyone? It's Ash on Comics late. Sorry, man. Yep, technical difficulties. Had to reboot my PC, and my PC takes forever to reboot. Actually, it's a lot faster than it used to be since I had to reformat it. Well, it's been a while now, since pre-COVID, but it's still, for whatever reason, man. It's the rebooting doesn't take so long. It's all these background programs and processes that have to go that just take forever to load, and because of that, I can't launch programs, OBS and Chrome especially. They just like to just sit there and hang, and so I was like, all right, I'm sitting here stuck, and I did it 15 minutes before the show was supposed to start. Now here we are, almost 20 minutes late. So my sincere apologies to everyone that's actually here. Thank you for being patient and hanging with me. I know some people, I watched the numbers drop as people came in and they were like, F this. It's just the way that it is. You know, what are you going to do? Maybe one day I'll have some sponsors that can pay for some new machinery for me. That'd be a lovely thing, wouldn't it? To have patrons and people who just paid for your way of things. But then I guess I'd have to deliver on some good content to be, worth it. And then, who's got time for that? Hope everyone's doing good tonight. It's Tuesday night, which means it's tomorrow's New Comic Book Day. Let's check in to see who's number one, and it is Melissa, back taking her title. She's like, you guys had enough time being number one. I'm back, she says. And Dragon Majesty, he's beaten again. Eric comes in third, but he can't stay awake because I'm not Englandine. So what are you going to do? Just stream 8 hours with Englandine, can't stay awake for Ash. I'm sad. But Eric's a good guy. Anyway, I don't want to talk bad about him. But I do want to give him a little bit of guilt trip because, he deserves it. We all deserve a little guilt trip from time to time. Christopher Barker's here. He says Ash is late as usual. Now, I think I've been doing pretty good about keeping the schedule. I don't think I've been late for a while. We're 60 episodes in now, and I've been pretty much promptly starting at 10 my time. So that's the way that goes. But tonight I was, so I have no excuse other than just think shit happens. I was like, I didn't want to reboot because I was worried that this was going to happen because it's happened before. And I was like, my machine is running like dog shit. If I don't reboot, it's better to be a few minutes late, I think, than to have to like crash in the middle of a stream and reboot in the middle of, if I had to reboot in the middle of a stream, forget that. Let's see. Dragon Majesty. Who needs Ash's music when I got my own? There you go. If you got your own music, because of YouTube, well, not YouTube, copyright limitations and things, I can't just play any old music. So if the music I play isn't to your cup of tea, you can hit the mute button and listen to your own. I'm not going to complain. Actually, we were talking about music. It was a few nights, it was several episodes back, and people were recommending some different music, and I forget who did the recommendations. If you're here and it was you, you know who you were. I got to listen to one of them. It was a liquid, what was it called? Liquid Tension Experiment, I think is what it was called. Something like that. And it was okay. It was all right. It was something I didn't dislike it. I don't know. It kind of reminded me of like a little bit of like instrumental, like if Dream Theater did an instrumental album, almost reminded me of that. And Dream Theater's kind of cool. Let's see. Dragon Ball says, just lit my marijuana cigar with THC concentrate smeared on it. Yeah, buddy. Jesus, someone's trying to escape reality. All right, Dragon Ball. Cool, I guess. To each their own. Let's see. XTC pill music. I love it. I don't know why people keep saying that. It's just chip tunes. It's not really like rave music. But I guess some people hear that way. Melissa says, your song was a techno version of Seven Nation Army by White Stripes. Okay, I don't know that song. Chris says, was listening to Trivium through Blood, Dirt, and Bone. Ash. All right, I've heard a little bit of Trivium. There's one song that's actually. It's one song. What's the name of that song? Maybe I'm gonna look it up here. Give me half a second to play music. There was one song that I liked on my play music. Where is play music? Oh, no. Google Play Music. Oh God, why can't Google why can't these big companies that specialize in doing certain things not do the things that they specialize in doing? And Google named their stupid music service Google Play Music. It's like so if you type into Google Play Music, it's first of all, you'd think since it was Google they would know. Like, oh, that's our service. But you get anything that matches it, like, you know what I'm saying. Where is it? Music library. I know there's a Trivium song that I liked. I want to find out what it was. Where's playlist? Playlist. Thumbs up. And yeah, you can make fun of. You can see all the stuff that's in my thing that I like. And you can make fun of me. By the way, there's an artist or two artists. There are a pair actually that, if you've never heard before, I very much like Spanish guitar. I don't know if anyone's like that Spanish classical guitar. There's these. I think they're brother sister, Rodrigo y Gabriela. Give these guys a listen. They do some bomb ass shit for their music. They were a cool discovery. Where is? Oh, you know what? I think I put it in. Didn't I have like a metal list that I was making? Ah, crap. Maybe I can just remember by seeing it. In Waves. That was the song. It was a pretty good song. So I wasn't blown away by Trivium. I was like, yeah, they're kind of cool. But I'm extremely picky when it comes to metal. One of the metal bands I haven't listened to in a while. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of As I Lay Dying. They're a San Diego band. I wonder if they have anything new. Oh, look at that. They got a new album in 2019 that I didn't know about. There's a band I listen to. Anyways, you don't care about my music. Hey, look, here's some cringy weeby anime manga. Comixology have any sales? They always have sales, but oh, what's this? Comixology start here? Oh, it's not. Why do they say Comixology start here? I thought this was going to be all unlimited, but then like there's 2 of these books that aren't unlimited. Most of these books are unlimited. Oh, and by the way, look, you can get Daredevil. That Daredevil series I was reading, that's unlimited. I love Comixology Unlimited. $5.99. All the comics that's on their package that, you can just read as much as you want. And, guys like, oh, $5.99 a month for a service. But geez, when the comics are $3.99 for a single issue, you read 2 issues here, you paid for it. So let's see. Dragon Ball says I like the music. Dragon Magic says I was the one that recommended liquid tension experiment. Did you know there's another one experiment, Dragon? I don't know if I found it because Google recommended it to me. Liquid tension. There was Liquid Tension Experiment, and they got 2 albums, 1 and 2, because really creative names. There was another Liquid, though. See if it's listed here. Liquid Trio Experiment. Did you know this? It's like the same guys, but it's like 1 extra guy. So they made an album. So I was like, why don't you just call it Liquid, like the same name? So you may not be aware this even exists, but so if you aren't aware of this exists, maybe you go check that out now. Thank you for the recommendation. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. It's an instrumental project by 3 of the guys from Dream Theater. Good ear to catch that. Oh, yeah, thanks. So wait, what's Digital Trio Experiment? Is that where they had a 4th guy? wait, why is it called? I don't know. Maybe you'll know. Bianca Fights the Zombies, says Reality Bites. That was a movie from the 90s. Do you remember that? Back in the era of grunge. Grunge was like all the rage. They made this movie called Reality Bites, the grunge movie. The Seattle grunge scene. Man, Seattle has changed from those days. What happened to Seattle? What happened? Oh my gosh. Oh, it's crazy how generations so completely change from one to the next. My generation, I'm Generation X, and I remember growing up, and what was I forget the generation that's before me, and it's not the boomers. The boomers are the ones that parented I don't remember, but I mean, we were just, they were the hippie generation, the ones that went through the 60s. Generation X was so different. We were the 80s and the 90s, the edgelord type thing, and then now we had kids, we had millennials, and millennials was like complete 180, like walk away from that. Now we get to see what Gen Z is going to turn into because they're growing up. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Before that, I was listening to Death, Pull the Plug, don't know that. Here in time for the chat portion of the show, says Maranya. Welcome, Maranya. Good to see you. Always better when Maranya's here. Ash was listening to Draconian Heaven Laid in Tears. Don't know that either. Dragon says LTE has 4 guys. Guitar. Why is it called Liquid Trio then? If it's got 4 guys. It's silly. Whatever. It's goofy. Melissa says, Ash, I was born in the 60s. Yeah, well, I was born in the 70s, but apparently millennials start at 1985. I think that's ridiculous. But your generation, what really defines you and your generation isn't when you were born. I mean, I guess it's part of when you were born, but really it's the era that you grew up in. So Generation X grew up in the 80s and 90s. Millennials grew up in the millennium. That's why they start from when they're born in 1985. I think it's like 1985 to 2000. 1985 to 2000, 2005. I can't remember what it is. And I was like, what? But then it's like, it kind of makes sense because most people don't really recall much of like the first 10 years of their life. You can remember little things about your early days in school, but you don't really start forming your own identity and who you are until about 9 or 10. Um, and so that, and then you start making an impact that comes, you're not just like geeky, I'm an existing thing, I think young kids are pretty much like that. They let everything define them. And then I think about 9, 10 years old, they start defining, themselves and outward. And that's where they have an effect on society. That's my opinion. I remember when wearing flannel shirts was pegged you as liking a certain type of music, says Rania. Yeah, that's what we were just talking about. Was the Seattle grunge scene. If you if you wore flannel, you were like grunge. You were like a Pearl Jam. God, what was that? What was the big one? Kurt Cobain, Nirvana. That's one that started it all. Nirvana, man. I think Kurt Cobain was more influential in death than he was alive. And I say that not flippantly or anything. And obviously he's influential in his death because of his life. But I don't know if he would have stayed alive, if he would have been as big of a deal, like in hindsight. But I was kind of big into I wasn't big into the grunge. I'm one of those people that I like most kinds of music. I dabble in it, and so like grunge came around, and I was like, yeah, I like some of these grunge bands. And then there was like 3 or 4 of them that I listened to. that was it, And but the people who were into it, they'd have like 20, 30, whatever. They just they liked it all, And I was like, yeah, I'm not so much into liking it all. But I really was a big Pearl Jam fan. I think Pearl Jam was probably my number one. I still like Pearl Jam. In fact, they have a new album that just recently came out that I need to go listen to. Their last couple albums have been pretty good. They're really a hit or miss band though too. Talk about a band that can make some of the best music. Some of my favorite music is Pearl Jam, and their albums have some of the worst music. You're just like, what the? This is not even listenable. This is trash. But 3 of the songs are like amazing. And then like the 6 or 7 other songs or however many on the, just all suck. You're like, why do you have to be like that? But I was also a Stone Temple Pilots fan. I liked they weren't really grunge, but they were part of the Seattle music scene. Was Soul Asylum. I really like Soul Asylum. Let's see. Melissa was a teenager in the 80s. Yeah, I was a junior teenager in the 80s. Graduated high school in 91, so we're kind of close. You could be a Gen X or close. It's one of those things. If you're born on the cusp of a generation, sometimes you can fit one or the other depending on your attitudes. Let's see. The remaining 3 guys jammed and recorded in the studio to make Liquid Trio. What? Guitar player's wife. That's too complicated, Dragon Magic. You made me go and scroll up and read all this stuff. It was better when I was just being dumb. There's 4 guys, but they're a trio because one left because his wife had a baby. Oh, liquid baby experiment. That sounds pretty nasty, actually. I grew up in the 60s through the 80s. You grew up in 3 decades, Marania, where you're 30-year-old. You can't have 3 decades of growing up. You grow up in a 10-year span. That's not how that works. I grew up in the 60s, and then I was still growing up 10 years after that, and then 10 years after that, I was still growing up. Come on, Maranya. Let's see. Krista's also listening to Serenia, Sister Nightfall. How much are you listening to over there? You just like, Just like DJ Chris over there, just popping up songs while I'm talking. Let's see. Ed says Alice in Chains was my grunge band in Nirvana. Yeah, Alice in Chains I recognized as really like. I understand why Alice in Chains made it big. They had a really good sound. It was one of those bands that I could recognize and go, "This is a good band," but I could never get into them. I don't know what it was. It's like Led Zeppelin. I recognize Led Zeppelin is an all-time classic rock band. I could never get into Led Zeppelin. Never. Just the way things go. Melissa Harris says Red Hot Chili Peppers and System of a Down. Oh my God, System of a Down, terrible. Terrible. Sorry, Melissa. Man, System of a Down has been around since the 90s, and no one cared until the new millennium hit. In the 2000s, the music scene went to shit, and there was no good music anymore after the 90s. I don't know what happened. Like when grunge died, and they were like, "Oh, now what's going to be the new thing?" And it was like, "How about new metal? Yeah, that'll be it." Remember bands like Limp Bizkit, and what was the other one? 33, or I don't remember what that was. Oh man, that was awful. And then System of a Down all of a sudden came out of like. And then we're like popular, and I was like, wait a second, time out. System of a Down's been around for 10 years, and no one liked them because there was so much other good music to listen to. And now it was like, oh, the music scene's dead. System of a Down to succeed. It was like, I'm sorry, I'm bashing a band that someone likes. They have a lot of fans, more fans than me. So what do I know? But I'm sorry, I never understood. Red Hot Chili Peppers, coincidentally, was another band that I didn't ever like for the longest time. Growing up in SoCal, Red Hot Chili Peppers was a huge thing. You know, I being an LA band and just being and I had friends that were major Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I was like, this stuff sucks. And then the album Californication came out and completely changed me. I was like, this album is astounding. That's still probably one of the best. That should have been probably album of the year. That album was so good. And I was like, it was weird because I was young. I was in my 20s, and I was like, you know, when you're that young, it's hard to admit you're wrong, right? You see it all the time in young people. Like, they don't know something, or they're wrong about an opinion or whatever, and you can show them, hey, look, your opinion, and they just find ways to just dig their heels in and be like, they can't admit they're wrong in face of irrefutable facts and evidence or whatever. They can't. This is why it's so difficult. I'm not going to go into a political thing, but just touching on it real quick, why we see like in the current political thing, the paradigm with the young people and stuff, trying to talk to these people that have formed these opinions about Trump or whatever. A lot of them, they're the college age kids. You see them, you cannot change their mind. With irrefutable evidence, you could show Trump walking on water. You could show him making wine out of water. You could show him curing cancer, curing the blind. You could, and people would still find a way. No, he's the devil. He's worse than, like, they would just, because they're so committed, and they have this fear of being wrong. And this isn't an argument about Trump. I was just using an example because I think it's something everyone can understand in the example. And I was this way, like, you know, you're just like that. When you get older, you're just like, not always, but I think you tend to be able to be more accepting and be like, you know what, I don't have this fear, this insecurities of people thinking I'm stupid, because that's, I think, where it comes from. Admitting you're wrong about something is what's the word? It's equivocal to basically saying I'm stupid. I was a fool, you know, like, and it's embarrassing. And then when you're young and insecure about yourself, you don't know how to deal with that stuff. As you get older, you realize it's not a big deal to say, you know what, I had the wrong opinion. I listened to some people, saw some evidence, and changed my mind. And there you go. Like, it's not the end of the world. So I was that way around Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I still don't really like their old stuff. But Californication On, I bought every album, and I became a Red Hot Chili Peppers fan. Their newest album I really like, by the way. Well, not the newest one, because they stopped doing albums, and now they do these like piecemeal bullshit things, like 4 songs at a time, and I'm like, what are you doing? But the last full album that they did, let's see, Chris Barker says, Ash, new metal, pop, punk, grunge was introduction to metal for me. Then metalcore, death metal, thrash, symphonic. I don't even know what that abbreviation is. Black metal, folk. Folk is something that I've gotten into somewhat recently. Man, I used to make fun of, sometimes talk about another thing I used to make fun of. God, what's the name of that band? Oh, jeez. There's a band that everyone liked for, especially like 10 years ago. What were their names? Oh, gosh. My memory has gone through. It's just dead. God, they have such a weird folky name. I went through a big phase where I was listening to them just all the time. And here you get to see a lot of stuff in a lot of music I have. It's pretty diverse. Not the Lumineers, although the Lumineers had an interesting. Where are they? I know. Come on. You're just like, this is great radio, or whatever stream, by the way. They're not here? Come on, I have several albums. Why are they not listed up here? Did I pass them? God, I can't. So my brain, literally, I just draw blanks, and like you just have holes in your memory, and it sucks getting old. I'll tell you what. And I do think I have something going on with my brain. Not that anyone cares. I thought it started with a B. You know what? I bet you I can find out. Let's see. Did someone suggest in the chat? Because I bet you I could find. They'll be suggested by the Lumineers. Similar artists. Mumford and Sons. This is a folk band that I got into. I really like Mumford and Sons a lot. Really good. This album here, Babel. Babel is the album you want to start with, I think, if you've never listened to them. Sorry. Sometimes you like, when you have something on the tip of your brain and you just can't recall it, and you're just like, I just want to recall it so bad. It sucks having that void. Ash, most good music is underground. Oh yeah, power metal. Chris, I think that's like a today thing, because the music industry killed itself with the whole pirating nonsense, and then getting caught in that conspiracy to price fix music, and they destroyed their own industry, and so now you can't. I mean, so much music is done so easily, and you can just self-distribute it digitally and everything. And so I think the day of the big produced music it's still there for like pop music, because all that stuff's corporate manufactured nonsense anyway. Because let's face it, who's going to go see Taylor Swift without some big corporate machine pushing her, right? Otherwise, she's just Taylor Swift and no one gives two shits about her. But you start putting her in the limelight, giving her, pushing her as this big celebrity and stuff. And then, you can turn someone who has some talent into a star. But there's a lot of people that have talent that you just can't. It's very difficult to just turn talent into that and getting noticed, getting the publicity and that sort of stuff is a huge deal. But a lot of these other types of music, like metal, for instance, if you're a metal fan, you go out of your way to search for it, right? It doesn't have to be shown to you. And that's been that way for decades. And so there doesn't have to be, like, being signed by a major record label isn't going to really help you. And publicity is not really going to help you, because you're going to be found out in that scene anyway, because it's all word of mouth. So I think we're just in a different era. Sounds like they're saying hot dogs are cold in part of Californication song. Obviously, Ash, I know a crap ton of bands. The mainstream ones are just a drop in the bucket compared to what I know. Sure, you sound like a person who loves his music. So you probably have a ton. I used to be a lot more into music than I am. I see just my peers and everything. Music seems to be a younger man's game, or woman. As I get older, I don't know if it's just because all the artists I love stop making music and they die. That sucks. Or what, but I don't have the desire. When I was, my 20s, man, sometimes I just get in my car and go for drives for hours and just listen to music. I love, that was like the best sound system I had was in my car. And it was fun. Nowadays, I just don't as much. That sucks. Have I mentioned getting old sucks? Ed says they can Milli Vanilli an artist nowadays and no one would care. Well, they do Milli Vanilli an artist nowadays and no one cares. Chris says, I like Taylor Swift, also Katy Perry. Yeah, I'll listen to pop music when I hit the metal slump. Well, no foul there. I mean, I put my music tastes up here for full display to be made fun of. This is basically my uploaded music collection to Google. There's various things from metal to pop. I got some Al Green here. Let's see. There's August Burns Red's a metal band. Listen to. Got some Blink-182 is one of my favorite bands of all time. They're pop metal. Chemical Brothers. Get some some techno. Depeche Mode. There's a band that I used to hate too that grew on me. But again, I don't really like the old stuff. Some of these bands, some weird how a lot of times people who like bands, you ever tend to notice how like hardcore fans of bands will be like, usually the first couple of albums will be like, yeah, that was their best stuff. And then they sold out and whatever. And you see that all the time. Like Metallica is a big example. You'll see like Metallica fans be like, yeah, everything up to Master of Puppets is awesome. And then they sold out, you're just like, whatever, dude. I tend to be one of those fans oftentimes that gets into bands later. Not every band this way, but Red Hot Chili Peppers was this way. I only like the later stuff. The Cure was that way. I hated the early Cure, but later Cure stuff I liked. Cult, there's another one. The Cult, I don't know if you guys know that. It's an older band. Depeche Mode was that same way. Anything from Depeche Mode 101 on, I won't listen to anything before. Let's see. I even listen to Fall Out Boy. There's one of the new bands I listen to that people make fun of me for it. I'm like, why? Fall Out Boy was pretty legit for a while. Anyways, I don't know why I'm talking about music. Let's talk about comics. You guys ever go to Humble Bundle? Humble Bundle is usually for video game fans. I don't know if you guys play video games. We could talk about video games all night. I play video games. They're fun. But sometimes Humble Bundle has comics. And the thing about Humble Bundle, it's like a charity. And what it did is it starts off where you can pick up video game titles for like super cheap. In fact, it's like name your price, pay what you want. Minimum, of course. But they started doing comics a while back. It's actually for quite a while now. And for the longest time, man, I wasn't checking it. I've missed some really good sales on Humble Bundle. So now I try to check pretty often. And I figured, you know what? Here's a place I haven't checked lately. And sure enough, boom, they got some comic sales. So here's where you can go and pick up some comics for cheap. And I think I'm going to do this for cheap because I've wanted some of these. This one in particular, The Boys, is something I've been very interested in. And then also this Superpowers, Project Superpowers looks really good by Dynamite. And I've been waiting for some sales on Comixology, but look at this. And these are all trade paperbacks, by the way, not single issues. So for $1, one single dollar, and this is pay what you want. Obviously, they're encouraging you to pay more because it goes to charity, but you can pay as little as $1 and get 4 trades, and then this Xmas Carol, which is probably just a one-shot issue. So 4 trades, including the first 2 trades of The Boys, for $1. That's a no-brainer right there. Or if you want to pay $8 or more, then you'll unlock the second tier, which gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more trades, which is all the boys. So it's not even, if you're only a boys, like I just want to read the boys stuff, for $8, you can read the first 7 volumes of the boys. So that's what, 6 issues a piece. That's like 40 something issues. Oh, wait, sorry. Nope, there's more. Then you go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm sorry. You get 9 extra. And then if you pay $15 total or more, you're going to unlock, look at this. So what were we at? We had 5, 9, so that's 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 books. And yeah, that's a lot for $15. That's pretty darn groovy. So I thought I would bring this to your attention. I always love sharing deals. In fact, I'm going to click this reminder button here. Oh, I got to log in. Doesn't remember. Oh, Jesus. I'll just come back later. I'm not going to do this right now. Let's see what you guys say in the chat. Christopher Park says Fall Out Boy was good, then they sucked. I don't know. I like their recent album. Well, not the one that they did all covers. The one that was I'm right here, I think. They had like 4 albums in a row that I thought were good. So from under a cork tree, then Infinity on High, Folie à Deux, Save Rock and Roll. These 4 albums are really good. And then American Beauty is where they start to slip, but there's some good stuff on American Beauty. But these first 4 albums are my jam. Sorry, going back to... Nope, where was I? Humble Bundle. 12 bundles. There's another. So if you're like, Ash, Fall Out Boy The Boys is not really my thing. Well, have no fear. Maybe Judge Dredd is your thing. They got Judge Dredd comics. $1. And it's not just Judge Dredd. It's by the publisher, so they have other stuff too. Look at all these books. Zenith by Grant Morrison. I don't even know what that is, but it's Grant Morrison. I don't know what really any of these are, but I recognize some of the creators like Dan Abnett did this Brink, whatever that is. Only one of these books is Judge Dredd. That's weird. But if you pay $8 or more, you can unlock all these other books. There's that Zenith. Kingdom by Dan Abnett. Huh. I've not heard of any of these, but I mean, for this low of a price, you can experiment and try out stuff, maybe find something new. The Zenith book ran for a while if it got to 4 volumes. So yeah, $15. You get all this extra stuff. Not a lot of Judge Dredd though, surprisingly. Wow, this looks like old. Is this old stuff? Could Brian Bolland doing Judge Dredd? This might be old Judge Dredd stuff. That'd be pretty cool to read. So you got that. Let's see. And online multiplayer games are hard to win except Power Rangers and Tekken 7 for me. All right. I don't play a lot of competitive multiplayer games anymore. I like to play games that are kind of cooperative in nature. I was on a big Destiny 2 spree earlier this year for like 6 months. Man, that game's pretty damn good, especially if you've got people to play with. Because it's completely free to play, but you just have to. You get the game and like the first 2 DLCs completely free. But I ended up buying like the other next 2 DLCs after that, just because I was enjoying it so much, and I was like, I don't mind throwing money at you. Give me a good product, and man, I got a lot of good time out of that, and there was some good PvP in there as well. Kind of missed that actually. I just played the shit out of it, so I kind of got tired of it. I really want to get Ghost of Tsushima, but I can't really justify the purchase at the moment. That's a game I'm looking forward to, but the problem about justifying the purchase is because Cyberpunk 2077 is coming out on the 25th, I want to say, or the 27th. Anyways, it's right around my birthday, which is the 26th. FYI, if you want to give me a birthday gift, I'm not going to say no. But so that's what I'm really planning on getting for myself is Cyberpunk 2077. And then you won't see me again. Let's see. The Boys comics are great stuff. Buy it. Do it, says Dragon Majesty. Ed says, I'd buy that for $1. Yeah, why wouldn't you, right? Fahrenheit says, do you like Wade's Daredevil? I never read Wade's Daredevil. I don't read anything by Wade if I can help it. Not necessarily because he doesn't have talent, but because the guy became an uber asshole who's got contempt for people like me. And I think he's destructive to the comic book industry. And basically, F that dude. Like, I have no desire to give that guy any money whatsoever. I'm on the fence about reading Kingdom Come because I haven't read it, and I know it's an all-time classic, and everyone's just like, you need to read Kingdom Come, and I'm like, I kind of know, like, as a comic fan, I should at least have read it, experienced it, so that'll be something, that I think is available on Comixology Unlimited, so, but I just don't feel any desire to read his Daredevil. No harm, anyone else says, like, oh, I like Mark Waid, I'm not going to have any ill will towards you. That's just my feeling, right? It's like if you went to a fast food place and the people there hated you and they're like, you suspected they might spit in your food, would you go there anymore? If you had friends that were like, dude, have you gone to like Joey Burgers or whatever it's called, like their stuff's the best. You're just like, yeah, those guys are assholes to me all the time. And I think they might be spitting in my food. I can't prove it, but I'm just not going to go. It's kind of how that is. Dragon Ball says, no Eminem I see. That is correct. I do not like Eminem. I'm not a rap fan, to be fair. Rap is one of the few music genres that I don't listen to. Rap, reggae, and country are the three of the genres you won't really ever see me listen to. It is kind of more, though. I don't really like R&B either. So I guess there's 4. But pretty much everything else I'm up to. Now, there is one Eminem song I really do like. So that's that. Marilyn Manson, he's just weird. And I just don't agree with this stuff he does. Like, vocally, like his lyrics, and I just stay away from Marilyn Manson. I got Project Superpowers on digital, Real Comics $0.25 each for like 10 random issues. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's old Judge Dredd from the 2000 AD anthologies. Oh, see, that makes that appealing, because I would love to read the old Judge Dredds when they were really Judge Dredd. Power Rangers is free on PS now. It's like Street Fighter, but easier. Is it free? Oh, it's free if you pay the $60. I let my $60 thing lapse on PlayStation. Excuse me while I drink on my mic. John Holmes made a movie called Kingdom Come. Okay. Dragon Ball talk. I only like rap if I'm high on pot. Any run, I don't know. Mr. Fairness. Or read Daredevil. Or Deadpool. Sorry. Someone would have to convince me there is a good run of Deadpool to read, because I'm not really convinced there is. 1 month is $8 for PS now. Well, yeah, you got to pay $8 for. That might be for the month. So my Xbox Live renewal hits in October. Now I'm like, I was thinking about renewing. I was like, I don't want to have both of them hit. That's like that's like $120, and then my Amazon Prime I think hits in November. I was like, Jesus. Um, $8. So that's ridiculous to pay it monthly though, because that's like $100 a year. Um, if you do it that way versus $60 if you just pay it once. I do miss getting all the free games though on PS Plus. Doug is in the house. Doug Johnson. I like a lot of alt country cowpunk. That's a genre. That is new to me. I don't even know. Alt country cowpunk. That's crazy. Power Rangers must be on Xbox. Yeah, but it's probably not free. Like, one thing that PlayStation does better than Xbox is their free games. The stuff you get free, like Xbox does, they give away free games on Xbox Gold, but they're not usually nearly the same quality. You get some. I got some amazing free games on PS Plus. Like, what was it? They were giving away the entire Nathan Drake series. Like, you get all 4 games. They had once, and then they had what was the other one that they did really good? The Last of Us remastered. I've gotten some good stuff on there. I can't remember all what it was. I just haven't been playing my PlayStation in a while, so I just let it lapse. Paying for 2 services is really tough, and all the multiplayer games I play mostly on Xbox, so that is what it is. A monthly service on Xbox like Netflix, but games. What's that called on PS? It's called PS Now. Yeah, PS Now is a little different. It's more expensive, and it like streams the games. Where Xbox has the Game Pass is what it's called. And I used to have the Game Pass, and it's $10 a month, which is really good. And you get at least 100 titles available to you, and you can just download them, and it plays like you just own them. They're, I think if you pay $15 a month, you get Game Pass Ultimate, which means you also get the PC games as well. And that's pretty good if you're into the, if you play both PC and console. I think the Game Pass is a little bit better. But I let that lapse too, because I just wasn't playing enough video games. I might pick it up again if there's like a really cool game that comes on it or something. So last but not least, there's not just 2 things, humble bundles for comics. There's 3. Where was the last one? This one may not be as appealing, however. It's the Hasbro Comics crossovers by IDW. This might be up someone's alley, however. Look at here. You can get Transformers Terminator or Transformers versus G.I. Joe. This might be the old school one, the reprint that Marvel did back in the day. Maybe not. That art looks kind of modern. ROM versus the Micronauts. Revolution Heroes. It looks like another. Oh, it's like a mega crossover. It looks like ROM. I put my mouse over it and it does that stupid thing. Looks like G.I. Joe, Transformers, probably everything. Or this is what everyone must have: My Little Pony Transformers. Come on, Friendship in Disguise. Don't I wish I could read that live on the air? Jeez. Transformers Visionaries, which no one remembers Visionaries unless you grew up in the 80s. Written by Mags Visaggio. Jeez. Gem and the Holograms. Come on, look at this. Look at all these Hasbro comics written by shitty people. Well, there's Christos Gage over here. Transformers G.I. Joe First Strike Champions. That's a mouthful. I heard this Transformers Ghostbusters was actually pretty decent. I'm not one for the mashups, but I know some people really love this stuff. This would probably be right up real Dr. Venkman's alley. He likes all this old school stuff, like in the mashups. So there you go. You get tons and tons of comics for next to nothing, and you can help a charity. Why wouldn't you do that? It could be because you're buying a lot of video games. That's why I can't afford video games. I'm waiting for the Ghost of Tsushima to come down in price, which it probably won't forever because it's a PlayStation game. excuse me, and PlayStation games, man, they just don't come down like the way Xbox games do. Even the same games, it'll be funny. It'll be like they're available on both systems, but the PlayStation, the price stays up. So first comic of the night. Someone asked earlier, is Batman: The Adventures Continue issue number or chapter number 11? These I hesitate to say issue number because they don't match the physical issues. So I'll try to say chapter if I can remember it. PS is now like the Netflix of games. I don't know if I would say that. Unless they did a big major overhaul lately that I haven't been aware of. But the PS Now service was like $20 a month. It was twice as much as the Xbox, and you had to stream the games. So, to that. And a lot of the games were like a lot of older stuff. Whereas Game Pass, Xbox is debuting the Xbox exclusive games the day they come out. They're on Game Pass, so that's pretty cool. Like what was it? Gears of War 5 when that came out, it came straight out. Like if you're a Game Pass, boom, you got to play it on day one. So that's kind of cool. Halo 5 should be if they follow, unless they. Not Halo 5, would be Halo 6, whatever, the new Halo game. That should be Game Pass. So that's kind of cool that they're putting some big titles out there on that. Zach says, oh man, am I late? You're never too late for an Ash on Comic stream. Dragon says, I love crossovers. There you go. Favorite titles from New 52 and Rebirth, says Fahrenheit. Oh, that's a big one. I didn't really read New 52, so I'll say Batman, the Snyder Batman. And Rebirth, it's gonna be Tomasi's Superman was my number one. Super Sons was a favorite. Let's see what else. I don't know if Hawkman really counts as Rebirth. I don't think it was part of the Rebirth. Came later. I also really was a big fan of the New Age of Heroes, if you count that as Rebirth. New Age of Heroes was what got me over to DC. I can't believe they canceled that stuff. Dragon Ball says, now it's $8 and as many as you can download. I only got my PS4, so I'm stuck. Well, PS4 is cool, man. If I only had a PS4, I would be happy. But since I have both, and I've mostly been an Xbox person since the original Xbox, much of my games, my friends list, like all that's like, I'm a big Xbox. For some reason, I always end up getting a PlayStation. I told myself I was not going to get a PS4 because I got a PS2 and I got a PS3, but I never ended up using them very much because I was just a big Xbox. I was like, I got them, but they collected a lot of dust. So I was like, I'm not going to spend money on a PS4. And then sure as shit, PlayStation always, they always come through and they're like, oh, are you sure, Ash? Are you sure you can resist not playing Spider-Man? And then I got my next door neighbor, who's my buddy since high school. He's a good friend of mine. He actually works for Sony. So he's got a PlayStation. He gets all the games. So I go over there and he'll be like, look at this new game. And I'm just, when Spider-Man came out, I was like, oh, I heard Spider-Man's pretty good. He's like, yeah, I got it. You want to see it? So I go over there and sit there watching him play. And I'm like, oh my God, this looks amazing. And he's like, yeah, you want to play a little bit? So I sit down and play a little bit. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the best superhero game I've ever played in my life. I was like, I need to get a PlayStation now. And then God of War 4. And then you've got all these classic games I've been looking forward to play, like Last of Us, which was actually a PS3 game, but I never ended up getting it on PS3. All the classic, like the Nathan Drake games. And there's Ghost of Tsushima, although that might be on Xbox also. I'm not sure. Anyways, so yeah, I'm a PS guy now. I just wish you didn't. It used to be PlayStation. You didn't have to pay for the Plus. Now you do. Ronnie says Aquaman Rebirth up to issue 42. I have the trades, most of the trades for the Aquaman Rebirth. I just have not sit down to commit to reading them. But everyone was telling me that. Everyone's like, you gotta read Aquaman. I was like, Aquaman? Are you kidding me? Like, dude, it's great. Abnett's doing great stuff. So I picked them up. I just actually haven't. I'm gonna sit down and binge them at some point. All right, we got to get in some comics because you guys have been really talkative tonight. I've been appreciative of that. I love having conversations. I'll give you some more time to type stuff up. I'm going to get a drink, and we're going to read Batman: The Adventures Continue. Hope you guys have a nice, delicious beverage of your own that you can quench your thirst with while you listen and talk about comics. I'm drinking one of my favorites, half Coke, half Dr. Pepper from the fountain. Does not work if you try it from the bottle or the cans. Don't try. But if you're at a convenience store or making your own soda somewhere, half and half, it's really good. It's something I've been drinking since high school. And too bad Coke doesn't own Dr. Pepper, because they could manufacture a drink that way. But what do I know? What do they know? Who cares? We're not here to talk about soda. We're here to talk about Batman. This is DC Digital First, Red Sun Rising, Part 3. That was a nasty cut, my dear. Good thing you came to see me as soon as you did. You're going to need a tetanus shot. I'm not scared, Dr. Tompkins. Ah! I haven't even started yet. It's him. Don't be afraid. He won't hurt you. I'm not scared. That's Batman. He'd never hurt a kid. That's it, Carrie. Skedaddle on home now. Better look where you're going. You don't want any more accidents. Okay, Batman. Thanks. Bye. Yes, I know, Batman. Pause for a second. Why is it in comic books every little black girl has this hairdo? I don't even know what it's called. Is it like the Afro pigtail? it's the what's her name? Moon Girl has the haircut. Like every little black girl's like it's becoming a thing. Sorry, moving on. Actually, before I do that, I should probably full screen it. There we go. You telling a child to be careful. That's a good one. I told you this wasn't your personal emergency room anymore. If you need medical help, Jason's alive. No, but you said... I just saw him, Leslie. He survived. At least physically. Emotionally, he's angrier than ever. I thought maybe he had come to see you. He always liked you. You suffered more wounds in 2 weeks than Dick did in 2 years. You worry me, Jason. It's just a scratch, Mom. I am not your mother. If I were, I would have tucked you into bed 2 hours ago, with straps if necessary. Ouch. I've seen you with Bruce. How you argue. You're too headstrong, young man. You take too many chances. I don't like it. I can handle myself. Rupert Thorne sure as hell found that out, too. Phew. You're no different from a million other kids who've come through my door. You think you're invincible, but one of these days you'll meet your match, Jason, and no one's going to be there to save you. Not me, not Bruce, no one. Listen, I don't think he would hurt you, but he's been stalking us. So if you see him... He was wild. You let him run wild. I was going to end it, Leslie. You know that. I was going to take him off the street for good, but he bolted. I tried to find him. I looked everywhere. That doesn't get you off the hook, Bruce. He wasn't just another runaway kid who disappears into the night. He was your responsibility, mine, Alfred's, all of ours. You made us all culpable in what happened. I'm sorry. Go now, please. I don't mean to lash out at you, Bruce. I know you've been hurt more than anyone, but maybe there's a bigger cost to what happened. Maybe your Batman needs to be laid to rest. The night Jason ran away, would be the last I'd see of him. It would, however, not be the last we'd hear of him. He made sure of that. You might have been too young at the time to be aware of it, but your predecessor was developing a whole new public persona. From boy wonder to boy barbarian. All the time we thought he was being too aggressive. He was actually holding back. There was no mercy from this Robin, unless it was clear his opponent was in no position to fight back. Even then, Jason felt compelled to teach his adversaries a lesson or two. He wouldn't be so restrained with Batman's usual rogues. His encounter with Killer Croc would prove to be the most brutal. The villain was trying to steal equipment off a battleship docked in Gotham Harbor. There were cameras. "Hey, Killer Diller, this ain't no Army-Navy store." "Roar. See you later, alligator." They found Croc the following night. Incredibly, he was not yet dead. The salt water had acted like a balm for his wounds. But all these reports of brutality were not playing well with the press. No one knew that Robin was acting on his own, so Batman's reputation was being unfairly tarnished, and by implication the commissioners as well. Something had to be done, or the police would end it on their own. Batman had scoured every square foot of Gotham, but Jason always seemed one step ahead of him. It was time to enlist some help. "Hello, Sidney." Bat? They called him Sid the Squid, a luckless lowlife who seemed to have his tentacles in everything. He ain't my kid. How am I supposed to know where he is?" "You must have heard something." Only that the brats could learn some manners." "Yeah, okay, I'll tell you. I don't know where he is, honest, but there's a rumor about his next hit. Word on the street is, it's the Joker." During this time, the Joker and Harley Quinn were celebrating an anniversary of sorts. Their first heist, I believe. They were out for a romantic night on the town, or so Harley had hoped. "You call this romantic? I get more affection deworming the hyenas." "Oh, don't be such a party pooper. Poo-poo. Look, something for you to snuggle with when I'm out with the Bat Boys." I need a super monkey like that. "And now I'm out. Sayonara, Smiley. We're done." "Yeah, you'll come crawling back. You always do. Now, where's that pesky whack-a-mole?" "Who's crawling now, Puddin'? Give my regards to the laughing fish." That was just the start of their very public breakup. Miss Quinn appeared intent on destroying every place they had gone as a couple. "I'm single and celebrating. Whoopee cushions for all." Of course, these shenanigans would bring her out into the open, as they did that evening when she decided to close down their favorite restaurant. "Red Hots! Get 'em while they're hot!" Thrump, oomph. "And here I thought you only dated wieners." "Back off, Boy Scout." "Boy Scout? You haven't been watching the news." "Ah!" "I'm a bad boy now. More your type. In fact, we got something else totally in common." Oh, he's a Baxander. "We both want to get rid of the Joker. Tell me where he is, and you'll only wind up in the emergency room." "How could a girl say no to that?" Zzz, ah! "Play in the field already, pumpkin pie." Ugh. Rude. Oh, Mr. J, you really do care. Shucks, Harley May. I can't stay mad at you. I even brung you some flowers from Ma's garden. Ha, yuck. It was a trick. On second thought, they're more fitting on this here young fella. Now, don't they look purty? Next, captured by the Crown Prince of Crime. Speaking of Joker. Oh, that was a cool one. I love this. This is a good book. I have to wait for the next one, though. That was the last one that's out. I miss Harley Quinn being Harley Quinn with the Joker. It's like, why did DC have to wreck this? I don't know why. I don't get it. Somebody explain to me. Let's see. Oh boy, I gotta scroll up. Let's see. Dragon says, I like Xbox. I tried Xbox Live at my buddy's house. It was fun. Dragon says, or whatever the PS Now equivalent is called. Just got Duke Nukem 3D. Blah, blah, blah. These days, Xbox and PlayStation, I mean, I think the PlayStation is probably a better thing overall for games. But Xbox is better for live gaming. I think like the service, it's just, I don't know. And I'm a big Xbox controller fan. I don't like the PS controller. They're too small for my hands. The Xbox analog sticks have always been better. Just, it's a slight little thing, but the PS4 is really, really good. Let's see. Where did I? Batman Adventures continues. Good comics, is Melissa. Yeah, it is, man. It really just keeps delivering. I really would just like to see Paul Dini write one of the main Batman books and get like, I mean nothing negative to Ty Templeton, but his art style is not really like a mainstream comic style, right? It works really well when you're emulating the animated series, and I'm fine with that, but you know, can you imagine being like a top tier Batman artist like what's his name? Is it David Finch? No. What's Finch's first name? I'm confusing it, and I'm second guessing because I think there's a filmmaker. Anyways, you know, put your whatever your top Batman artist is, right? You know, with Paul Dini writing, he just seems to get a classic Batman stories. Let's see. Dragon says it's like two afros on her head. Afro puppy dog tail hairdo, says Maranya. It is. It's like the pigtails. They weren't quite as pronounced as the way they do Moon Dragons, Moon Girl. Yeah, but I swear, like all the girls that they do that with. Let's see. Jason Todd is my favorite Robin, says Melissa. Ronnie says I like Dick Grayson or Tim Drake as Robin. I gotta say ever since I read Batman Year One, Robin Year One. Sergeant Bats got me to read Robin Year One during the Ash and Bats show. We did that on one of the episodes. And Robin Year One was pretty fantastic, and it made me really appreciate Robin a lot more. And I really like the way Chuck wrote Dick Grayson. How he wrote Robin to be sort of like the moral, almost like the North Star for Batman, to always know where to not get lost in the dark, if you will. He kind of represented this guiding light that kept Batman on the right course and never straying too far. And it's hard to describe, but Chuck Dixon really understood how to, and it just made me understand the Batman Robin dynamic a lot better and appreciate it. And I think part of that has to do with some prejudice of mine, but part of that has to do with lesser writers don't pull it off the same. And before that, I was always like, screw Robin. I just don't even like it. No more Robins. Just Robins are stupid. Get them out of here. I don't like Robins at all. So I'd have to say Dick Grayson is my favorite. But I don't really like the Nightwing Dick Grayson. I don't like the grown-up Dick Grayson. I wish Chuck Dixon could come back and fix Nightwing. I don't like the I'm bitter at Batman and just gonna be this delinquent, estranged son forever. Like, it's, I don't know. It's just tiresome. That's not what he represented. He was the boy that kept Batman on course. He was the good-hearted son. And now he's just sort of like, screw Batman. You're just like, whatever. So, yeah, I guess I'm still kind of anti-Robins, but I see now the potential. And I do actually, Damian's my favorite now. As far as, yeah, I like Damian being the son, his actual son, makes all the difference in the world. And Tomasi knows how to write Damian. Damian works. Everyone else writes Damian, he's stupid. So I guess maybe the rule is just don't have Robins because only a few people know how to write them. I don't know. When I turn my phone sideways, it won't let me see comments. Gosh darn. That's weird. Your Batman and Joker impressions are pretty good, says Zach. Oh, thanks. My Joker was off tonight because drinking soda, it has like the syrupy part kind of affects the back of my throat, and I couldn't make my voice crack like I normally do to do the Joker. But I guess it's good enough for YouTube. I miss Joker and Harley together. I hate the new 52 breaking them up. I also hate the Harley Quinn animated series. Oh my god, the Harley Quinn animated. I watched a clip on YouTube. I don't know why it was in my recommendations for something, and I was like, okay, I've never watched this. Let me see. Oh my god, was that utter trash. What the hell is that show? What the hell? Oh my. First of all, her voice is terrible. My Harley voice was a better Harley voice than what they do on the show. She sounds like just this like she-male bitch. Like they just did not do her at all. And she's just this awful, just mean, awful bitch woman. Like, I'm like, this isn't Harley. Harley's always been a killer, right? She's bad. She needs to be put away. But she always did so with this sort of like jovial personality. Like this sort of he, like, I'm having fun. Like this sort of Arrested Development. Like she's a 12-year-old girl, not all there. She's cuckoo, right? Like that's the point. But she was never like the new character that they have, the Punchline, that where she's just a cold-hearted bitch, which whatever. Punchline's a new character. She can be whatever she is. I don't really like her because she's a cold-hearted bitch, whatever. But that's what they made this Harley Quinn. I was like, what? Yeah, and she like the clip that I saw, she was at a family, like she was having dinner with her family, which was really bizarre. Like she's like dressed as Harley Quinn and she's like sitting down at the table with her family, and of course she's got daddy issues and she wants to kill her dad, and I'm just like, this is so stupid. Let's see. I miss 2020 Harley don't like wieners. It's 20. That's a good one, Ed. Jason Todd is a stone cold badass. Sorta. Again, it depends on who writes him, right? The part of the reason I like Jason Todd is Red Hood. I think Jason Todd is interesting, not because he was a great Robin. I think Jason Todd is interesting because he's a failed Robin, right? I think him not being just another Dick Grayson was what made him work. If he was still a Robin and Batman had fixed him, he'd just be like, whatever. But the fact that he kind of failed and he became Red Hood, I think is what made him interesting. Now, conversely, if you read the current Red Hood book, which I do like, At least when it was Red Hood and the Outlaws. Red Hood and the Outlaws was great. Red Hood was probably a little too soft. He should have been more like this Red Hood, but that's what I would have liked to have seen. So I want Red Hood to be a badass. I almost want Red Hood to be kind of like Frank Castle, you know. But there you go. Joker is going to beat the hell out of Jason Todd with a crowbar. I can feel it. Maybe. It's like breaking Shigo and Dr. Draken up. I don't know what that is. Harley Quinn's supposed to have a New York voice. It's New Jersey voice. She's got that New Jersey voice. I guess it could be New York, Queens. Sometimes it's hard to tell those apart. I can't do it, so I just follow along the best I can. Punchline, Asian or Japanese? That's a good question. It's really hard to tell with a comic book drawing. Really good question. Well, wait a second. Asian or Japanese? Japanese is Asian. So I think what you meant to say is Chinese or Japanese. That's how I read it, at least. Because she's obviously Asian. What if she's Japanese? That I don't know. She could be Korean, right? No knocking that out. What if she's Korean? I'm gonna go with Korean. We'll have to find out. I don't know. I can tell you. I could tell probably if she was actually human. I can usually tell many times, not always, because not all Asians look the same. But there is some certain traits. Usually, Chinese, Koreans, and Japanese have the distinctively that you can tell them apart, but not always. Let's see. Next comic book is Die. Are you ready to die? Oh, look, she looks so sad on the cover. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying this. We got 2 more issues of the first arc. The last issue was the best so far, so it's been on an upward trajectory. So I'm curious to see where this goes. I'll get this started here with another drink. Oh, that's probably loud on the mic. Sorry. I'm drinking out of one of those thermal flask mugs. It's not a mug. It's a... whatever you call it. What are they called? It's like I don't know. It's like a bottle. This I guess that's what it is. A bottle. Thermal flask bottle. It's the insulated dual steel wall type thing. Keeps your drink cold for like a day. Yeah. Anyways, you didn't care about that. Here we go. Part 4. The Inn. In 1991, 6 teenagers disappeared into a fantasy role-playing game. Only 5 returned. In 2018, 5 adults are dragged back to discover the 6th still wants them to play. Here are the 6 main characters. Ash the Dictator. Ash in real life is a guy, but in the game is a girl. So that's really weird when I read because the narrator is Ash. Chuck is the Fool. Matt is the Grief Knight. Angela is Neo. Isabel is the Godbinder. And Soul is the Grandmaster, who's the one that stayed in the game for 20 years. Glasstown was the first city of Dai, home of its first people. Before that, Dai was just a clockwork armies and a pointless, endless war. Soon other towns followed, then kingdoms, and so on. Or so Isabel tells it. She was always the expert. As the first city, it soon became the first strategic target, suspended between mechanical eternal Prussia and the Little Englanders. The war continued, but now it had a point. It's Rivendell meets Casablanca, Oz in no man's land, wrapped up safe in its indestructible snow globe. It's changed with the times, but it's always existed. We never actually went there. I remember what Z, a friend in Angria, had told me. It was thrilling. We were in a magical world, and people talked about Glasstown as if it was a magical world. We always said we'd go one day. Would you look at that? Oh, sorry. Comixology crashed. That never happens. I don't know what the deal is. Oh, sarcasm. Would you look at that? And by the looks of it, Soul already has. It only gets more ominous as we get closer. Each one of the players in the game, FYI, was given a magical die that presumably is what allowed them to transport in this world. Soul, the one that stayed, he had the D20. And so that's what that looks like there. So thought I would say that just to help that make sense, because it seems like that might be relevant. Forget the shield being shaped like his D20. The face on the tower is his. Statues of him line the streets. He did say he'd been busy. How the hell do we get in? Isabel, Glasstown, that's your thing. Any ideas? The walls are impenetrable. It's a natural city. Individuals and diplomats can visit, but they're not fans of outsiders, and outsiders with weapons more so. Border control is a big deal, and... You sound bad. Can't you get your gods to heal you? Cough. The mourner is refusing. I owe her too much after that trick with Ash's undead lover boy. And healing isn't really Mistress Woe's thing. Kind of the opposite. I really don't want to die here. For fuck's sake, open up! Calm down. What business brings you to the ancient confederacy of Glasstown? Let's see your passes or similar. We're travelers. People hold grudges when I wrench every emotion in their chest to make them do what I want. But if it's the only option, I hope I don't have to use the voice. Perhaps I should use some poetic compulsion that translates to eyes up here. He's the sort of man who can't even pretend to be polite. No darting glances. He's just staring. Sorry, time out. Sorry, I'm rubbing my temples. I'm doing the Picard face palm. Okay, look. Yes, haha, we know men have a male gaze. And when you're an attractive woman, that's what men do. Every guy that's heterosexual is guilty of it. Because we're wired a certain way. Women don't get it because they're not wired that way. But why is a guy, Chiron Gillen in this case, writing this And why is he writing a guy? Ash, this character right here, you're looking at Ash, is a male, a dude. He wrote up a female character for the role-playing game that now became real because I got sucked into the game through magic, hocus pocus. Fine. No dude gets uppity about dudes looking at women. I've never seen another dude be like, "Yo, dude, like you need to have your eyes up here." Like that was so impolite. You're like looking like so this is a guy who's offended about a guy looking at a hot chick, which by the way looks hot because in his mind he made this character look like this. So if anyone's at fault for this, like this, it's just so weird and stupid. Yes, Kyron, we get it. You're so sensitive to female sensibilities. God forbid this woman with a low cut, dress like this showing all sorts of cleavage have anyone look there. That's never mind. Sorry. It just annoys me. Oh, look. But it's not my cleavage he's looking at. It's you. So he's not even looking at it. He's looking at the power stone or whatever is there. It's not even a sexual thing and you're still getting butt hurt. Sorry, having a fit. I was triggered. Moving on. It's you. It's them. The Paragons. Open up. That I'm not relieved shows my old instincts are back. This isn't easy. It just feels easy. Now this I could get used to. Welcome, Paragons. You have returned to the land of Dai at last. The prophecy will be fulfilled. Will you truly deliver us from the dominion of the Devil Boy? Our first question is answered. Are they on Soul's side? That puts us in an advantage. Briefly. Hell yes! The geeky Grandmaster, we're gonna kick his ass. Christ, Chuck, at least play along. Any advice on how to get to 20 would be appreciated. Of course. I will consult the council. You shall be made comfortable while we wait. Hey, any volunteers want to help me be more comfortable? Hero's bed, going to spare. Chuck, knock it off. We're guests. Sheesh, you're a grief knight, not a rage knight, Matt. Well, the room had better be great. It is. Even Chuck shuts up. Is there anything else you will require, Paragons? I need to get to the Temple of the Mourner immediately. It shall be as you wish, Paragon. For the rest of your heroes, the city is yours. I will find you when we know more. So what are we going to do? We are the British abroad. And we are a thirsty people. Oh yes, I've missed the biddy here. Can someone light me? Why, thank you, Angela. God, forget smoking. I've missed these beauties. Vaping isn't the same, no matter how fashionable I feel. Like I'm cosplaying a sci-fi writer or something. Hail, Paragons! Given that life is short, it would be precious to share cups with you, Paragons. Life is short, ha! Good one. My friend is dour. I am delighted. In the name of all that is quaffable, let us quaff. Yes, this world was horror, but it wasn't just that. I remember the thrill of going to a place where you wouldn't get carded because you'd just killed whatever monster was threatening it. I also remember how much dwarfs drink, so this isn't a good idea. But for the first time here, I'm smiling. Yes, hail and well met and all that. Let's get sloshed. Okay, I'm at your temple. Speak to me, you selfish bitch. What do you actually want me to do? You are impolite. This has not changed. You hide your regrets as always. But still, I love you. Much else has changed, as you will see. You will be of use to me. Get up and walk. I don't know why I said walk. So we'll get up and walk. Sorry. Continuing. You leave me in pain now for days and heal me now? Gods move in infuriating ways, as always. It's a miracle. A miracle. Yeah, get used to that. There's a lot of miracles going around. This way, Paragon. So, her upstairs sent me. What do I... Oh. What are all these people here for? What do I have to do? Read to them. Shit. Christ. You're much better behaved than year 11. What shall I read? Or it would be an honor if you read from the first of the great books. I was cruel. I have only shame. These are my diaries. I can't. I'm a bad person. You can't listen to me. This is wisdom, please. It changed our lives. Such vulnerability, such strength. We need you. Save us. I spent 2 years afraid to hope. The first of my 12 lessons was... In my experience of dwarfs, it's a miracle that Thorin's crowd ever found their way out of Hobbiton, let alone to the Lonely Mountain. Let me tell you a story of new Grandmaster and his misrule. Once the Wizards of the Dreamingland spells drifted from their minds as they were cast. Each day they had to learn them anew. After a rebellion, the Grandmaster forged a new rule. Yes, their incantations would fade as they were cast, along with another memory. The greatest of the Archmages used his magics carefully until the day his children's were stolen, transformed into a many-headed monster and spirited away. He pursued the beast. The path was barred with a river of blood. He froze the river with a spell and no longer recalled the blossoms falling on his wedding day. He entered the dungeons and faced fallen beyond number. A burst of fire, his father's favorite breakfast. A birth of fire, the smell of spring in the dreaming lands. A burst of fire, his grandmother's recipe for nettle stew. Finally, he found the cage where his Hydra children were hidden. He cast a simple spell of unlocking to free them. A tiny spell, a tiny memory. And he forgot this vicious Hydra was actually his children. Then he did what heroes do. His friends told him when he returned home. With that awful realization, he plucked his eyes out in woe and... Dour, we're drinking with heroes. Less dourness. Matthew, you are a paragon of all knights. Warm our heights with tales of heroism. Delighted. I'd rather not. You deny us? Tell us a tale. Inspire us. What is the bravest act of your life? Okay. My mom had appendicitis. Minor operation. I was young and always liked maths. And back then I was pretty morbid. You know what the chances are of something going wrong in a routine anesthesiation. And I'm not going to try to pronounce that, sorry. 1 in 100,000. I kept thinking, that's an impossibly high risk on someone you love. Someone's always the one. Mom was the one. What's the Stalin line? Death of one is a tragedy. Death of a million is a statistic. I disagree. It's all just statistics. So, my little Dot was 5. She had to have surgery. She's young. She's in pain. She has no idea what's happening, but it hurts. And there's nothing I can do to take it away. She's petrified. And I am too. I know the odds. It's not 1 in 100,000. It's a lot less than that. Pause. See what I'm talking about? Look at this. What was I saying earlier? It is without fail. These modern progressive writers only know how to draw black girls one way, and it's with these stupid pigtails every time. Sorry, continuing. Any parent would be a mess, but with my background, I know the one turns up, and the one turns up for me. I didn't let her see any of it. She was fine, but really, all the bullshit we've had to deal with here is nothing compared to that. Holding it together when she needed me, that's as brave as I've ever been. And the scariest thing about it is that I know it could have gone the other way. If I wasn't brave and she died, the last thing I'd ever did would have made sure she left the world petrified. Wow. You know how to bring the party. I'm sorry for your fucking kids, Chuck. I'm not feeling great. Don't push it. Yeah, I know. You won't like me when I'm drunk and depressive. We're all drunk. Can we stop needling one another? Sure. Subject change, dictator. You spent all of your time here swanning around in your fancy ball gowns, and it never bothered you. You never seemed to be interested in boys, except here. What's going on with that? Yeah, I was wondering if we were ever going to talk about it. We didn't really have the words to do it then. We do now. You look better. You've made up with your gods? I've done the rounds. Mistress Woe is being weird, giving me all, oh, don't worry, I'll pay me back. You'll pay me back in your own time. The mourner was even weirder. She made me read to a bunch of folks. It was intense. But yeah, I think we're good now. And you're changing the topic. If I wanted to talk about anything, do you think I'd want to talk about it with you? I know that was a good one. I know that was a good one-liner you've been waiting to use for years. But you should talk. Of course she's right. You're primed to hear it. You know structure. 2 people have told a tale. There's going to be a third. This is the point where, if this was a different kind of story, I'd come out with a simple answer. I've always envied people with simple answers. If you're looking for a simple answer, you're reading the wrong story. Being Ash was always easy. It gave me so many permissions. I enjoyed it. That's all I can give you. Make of it what you will. But Angela saves me from the hell of having to say any of that. Back off. Leave Ash alone. Just... And she freezes. And then everyone goes into caring mode. In the face of obvious distress, we get past our bullshit and act like grown-ups. For a second, I'm proud of us. In another second, I realized I hadn't even noticed Angela's barely said a word since she's been here. Once more, shame follows pride. What's wrong, Angela? Everything. Having a fucking arm again? Forgetting I have it, then remembering, and, oh God, and everything back home. It's like, Rupert, the kids, my dumb fuck of a girlfriend, and it's all huge and messy, and God knows they're being here reminding me of how bad I've always been at picking partners. Was it so bad to date me? Yes. Yes, it was. You were a shitty first boyfriend. Yeah, I was. I'm sorry. Chuck getting character growth. If this is the third story, that's its twist. I know it's hard. It's driving me mad thinking of everything that's happened while I'm trapped here. But we will get home. That's the fucked up thing. I'm not crying over that. I'm crying over... I feel so dumb even saying it. Haven't you noticed? I've used all my Neo tools since being here. The teleporter, the blades, all of them except one, and I'm scared to. Why, ma'am? Because if I don't get fair gold every day, I'll have to watch him die again. And I want him so badly, just one more time, but, oh God, I should try it, I should. You are not what I expected, Paragon, but I have fair gold. It'd be gone in the morning. I was going to use it for more drinks, but if it is of use to you, I'd be honored. Oh, God. Subsystem activated. You are the best dog. I missed you, Case. It's so stupid. It's all so stupid and small, but I'm so happy. Adventurers, I am sorry. I have ill tidings. The route to the Grand Master is closed. Is there anything we can do? We have studied the paths and consulted ancient wisdom. There may be a way, though it be most perilous. This better not be... Soul. Don't. Please, no. No. You'll need 3 keys. The first key is... At which point, I stopped paying attention. It was a list. Because Soul was clearly fucking with us. Fuck. 3 keys in the bottom of 3 dungeons, each guarded by 12 perils. We'll be here forever. Shitty story, too. He was always a railroader. Even if we do that, and he doesn't throw us another twist, he's still in his stronghold waiting for us with God knows what. Could the 5 of us even defeat him if we get to the 20? The masters are always strongest in their homes. We defeated the last Grandmaster. Yes, we did. With Soul on our side, he could break the rules like the Grandmaster. But now the rules are entirely Soul's. Then we stop playing his game. We can't beat him in 20. Fine. Look at Glasstown. He's worked so hard on it. I'll bet he'll come to us if we destroy it. Die by Kyron Gillen and Stephanie Hans. That is chapter 4. It's getting a little melodramatic for my taste. I don't know what you guys are thinking. If you're liking it, tell me. If you're not liking it, tell me. You don't have to. You won't break my heart. I was really kind of annoyed with some of the modern sort of progressive ideology trope. Like it really bothers me when I read fantasy stories and characters act like this. Now, in this book, Kyron's found a clever way of having characters have modern sensibilities because they actually are from our world. This is what I could not read. I don't know if any of you guys are fantasy fans or whatever. But if you heard a book series called The Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, I read the first 3 books and I just could not read anymore. Partly because they were just way over fluff. Like, you want to talk about decompressed, like, I mean, each of them were like 800 to 1,000 page books that should have been more like 400 pages. They're just way overwrought. Now, Robert Jordan is a good writer, so it's not painful to read. He's kind of like Bendis like that. It's like you can just read Bendis and it's easy reading, but after you're done, you realize that nothing really happened. And Robert Jordan was like that. The first book, yeah, I guess Robert Jordan is like the Bendis of fantasy books. The first book ends in a complete Deus Ex Machina, just completely just out of nowhere. Something that was never introduced in the story at all, just out of nowhere, allows the hero to defeat the main conflict. And at the end, you're just like, what? What the hell did I just read? I spent 1,000 pages reading to get to this? Robert Jordan is not a good writer. But he does know how to read. He does know how to like write prose in the sense that it's not dry and boring and plotting and stuff. Like, it feels like it reads well. Anyways, I'm going off into the weeds. Where was I going with this? What really bothered me about the books was how the characters always behaved with modern sensibilities. You know, like the women were these modern, liberated women. And I was like, you're living in a fantasy world that has a societal level of about like the Middle Ages. And I'm sorry, look, I don't think women are lesser than men. But society did not have that same outlook. It was a very patriarchal society, and there was just a much different worldview by people. They weren't liberated in that. Anyways, I'm trying to avoid like being political and stuff. I just like things to reflect, be sociologically accurate. If you're going to write about a primitive time period, let the people of that time period have primitive ideas to be fitting. But in this book, these characters have modern sensibilities because they are modern nitwits. So there you go. Let's see what you guys had to say about the book. Get into the chat, and where's it start? Dragon Ball says, damn, only 5 returned. Okay. That gem or tattoo or whatever would have draw any eye to it. It's not the boobs per se. That bit is pure virtue signal. Yeah, we were going back talking about the beginning of the book. That scene bothered me, man. If this was a book written by a woman and the character herself was a woman, it would have annoyed me still, because that just annoys me in general. But it would not have annoyed. At least it would have made sense, because women behave that way. Look, I get it. Women get annoyed at some of the things men do because they don't understand how men think, and so some of the things they do are frustrating because you're just like, why do you have to do that? I don't have to do that. What? But it's the same way for men to women. Women do things that drive us fucking nuts. And as a guy, we're just like, why do women have to do this all the time? Why? But to us, it's very simple. We don't have an inclination to do these things, so we don't understand why women do, because we're wired differently. You just have to take a deep breath and go, it's fine. We're just different. No one's hurting anyone. Just move on. So I could, like I said, I could understand it. But when a man writes that scene, and the man writes that scene happening to another man, I just go, bullshit. This is stupid. No guy thinks like this. Anyways, although maybe the guy's gay. I'm starting to get a feeling the main character Ash is gay. So even still, I'm not sold. It's just it had no place in the story. It really was like a full page, and it didn't have anything to do with the plot or what was going on. MTG got a D&D set coming out. Weird. It would make more sense if D&D had a magic set. Like, if you could, you could play Dungeons and Dragons and you could like role play in the world of Zendikar. That would make more sense. But Magic is just really a game system, and the worlds are sort of these just kind of tacked on for flavor. D&D doesn't really have worlds. I mean, they have a few. You got like Forgotten Realms. You got Dragonlance. But like, what are they going to do? A Forgotten Realms? I guess they are. I don't know. I guess that might sell. I guess. I don't know. It's probably going to be woke, because Magic the Gathering is like, all these cards are banned because they're problematic. Have you heard what they're doing? Apparently they're remastering the older sets digitally. So I take that to mean they're going to be changing the cards so they can, the physical cards they can't change, but digitally you can take these old problematic cards and redo them and edit the words and stuff and make it all not politically incorrect. All right? Because stupid. Magic the Gathering is just gone in the toilet. This whole woke culture ruins everything. The daughter has the Afro puppy dog style. Yeah, you probably commented that before I said it. As soon as I turned to that page, I was like, I don't want to ruin the drama that's going on here by abruptly calling it out. So I finished the scene. But yes, I couldn't believe. I was like, here it is. Exactly, I called it. Read Ash versus Fred versus Jason. Is it available on Comixology? I'd read that. They got that. All right, you gotta send it to me like on Twitter or Discord or in a YouTube somewhere where I can get it. Like, if you put a link, that would be really great, so I could find it and have it to refer to. Because I read so much what's going on in the chat here. But yeah, if it's a Comixology thing, send me that. Ash Toonami bends the knee to BLM. Oh yeah, Toonami. Yeah, sure. Ravnica, and there is D&D Magic books. What? Dragon Ball? I don't know what you're saying. Melissa's like, bye. Before I go, read my Toonami comment. Oh, I just did read your Toonami comment, I think. All right, well, that's the last comment, so I'm all caught up. Are you guys caught up? I didn't hear anyone say any comments about Die. I don't know if you guys are loving it, hating it, indifferent to it. My thoughts right now are, I think it's very clever. Like, this book is clearly written for D&D players. If you're a person who's played lots of Dungeons and Dragons, I think you'll get more out of this book. Because I used to play Dungeons and Dragons for many years as when I was young. Towards the end of high school, I had a friend who introduced me to Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. And that's still probably my favorite RPG system and world and everything to this day. I love Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. The original one by Games Workshop. I haven't ever played the newer system that's by Fantasy Flight. They got the rights to it. They came up with their own new system. But that was my jam. Warhammer Fantasy roleplay. I game mastered that for many years in my late teens, early 20s. I've played lots of other games as well. Usually, each of us in my circle of friends would have our own game system that we specialized in game mastering. Like I had a buddy who game mastered Marvel superheroes, and he ran this great Days of Future Past campaign for us that takes place in the Sentinel future. We all get to play mutants in that future, running from Sentinels, and that was great. So I played lots of different games. I never turned back to D&D. D&D is a terrible system in my opinion. I think it's like the Budweiser of role-playing games. And, for people who've only ever drinking Budweiser, it's totally fine. They love it. But once you go and find something better, you turn back and go, wait, why did I play this game system? It's very vanilla fantasy. It is what it is. Like I said, I played it. I started playing D&D when I was 9. I was in 4th grade, and I probably played it all the way until my junior year. Maybe my junior year in high school, so 16. So I probably played it for a good... And then I came back to it like once or twice temporarily because I had a friend who's like, I'm running a D&D game. And I'm like, really? Running? Oh, fine. I'll play a little bit. But my point being is, if you play D&D, I think you'll identify with a lot of the tropes and the things and some little clever bits that they put in here. And I did particularly like that little mini story that the dwarf told. I liked the little part where they talked about how the Grandmaster's changing the rules. And it's like, oh, it used to be that you'd have to memorize your spell and then you'd cast it and then it would you would forget the spell, which is a running joke among role players. At least it used to be. The D&D magic system was really stupid. It never made any sense. You had to memorize your spells. So you had a fireball spell. You used to spend the day, memorize the spell. And then during the game, you'd cast the spell. And then you could not cast it again because you can only do it once. And why? Well, you forgot that. There was never any sensical explanation. It was this doesn't, you memorize the spell. I always thought it was stupid. A lot of players. And so they had this nice, that was a funny joke referencing that. And then they stated that instead of forgetting the spell, you now forget something important in your life, which I thought, so it was a funny parody. It made fun of D&D in that sense, but then it also had this really cool story about how the wizard who forgets his own child and then ends up murdering his kid because of the forgetting and the cruelty of the game master. That was a cool little mini story. That was the best part of this book. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of other stuff. The art's pretty cool. I don't really like these characters still, though. These characters are all pompous millennials. And maybe that's just me being old and having to get off my lawn attitude. Maybe if you're younger than me, you identify with these characters better. And you're like, oh, this is just like my friends. And I'm like, all right, cool. But it's weird that they're 40-year-olds. They're my age. But they talk and act like people 20 years younger. It is weird to me. Maranya says, flashes of possibly woke content, which, to be honest, is minor and not truly offensive to me, does not make a book cringy and woke. I played D&D a few times, but had bad Dungeon Masters those times and didn't like playing it. Creating characters is pretty fun, though. Your role-playing, if you ever play a pen and paper role-playing game, to be quite honest, the game master matters more than anything. I would sit down and play any version of Dungeons and Dragons with a great game master over my favorite system, which is Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, with a bad game master. A game master, a really good game master, doesn't even need a system. The rules are just there to help you define what your character can do and give you some sort of sense of, how to play chance and do stuff like, oh, I want to try to doing this special feat of whatever. The system is there to just have some sort of way of determining success or fail of the things you attempt to do. But really, a good role-playing game should be about the story and the drama. And the rules of the game don't matter in that case. So I do agree, Maranya, with your woke content. It was minor and it wasn't really offensive to me, but it did kind of make that record scratch sound, that kind of took me out of the story for a second. Because I'm just like, like it's just that annoyance. You're just like, oh, come on, why? It makes you sigh, and then you go on, and like, yeah, it's not end of the world, but when you're buying content for pleasure, it's not like this is just a TV show that's on the air and that's free, and I just don't click channel. Oh, hey, look, it's on. Like, this is something you go out of your way to buy and purchase and go, I'm looking forward. I want to love this. And then you just do stuff. You're like, come on, you took my money and this is what you gave me. So I guess from your guys' perspective, it's like the TV. This is all free to you. Just click, turn on Ash. He's reading this comic. Well, we got one more issue to go. Here's the cover of super badass. Notice how the most badass people in this are all the girls. This is the God. What is she again? The God binder. The God binder. That's right. Divorced school teacher with aggressive. Oh my God, look at the description. Divorced school teacher with aggressively bilingual intelligence. That's the dumbest description ever. Yeah. She binds gods. Like gods. What do they say in the first issue of the book? Like clerics like serve the gods and get their power that way, but the gods serve her. I'm just like, oh, of course, right? And then the main character Ash, her power is she could just speak words and you're compelled to do whatever she says. She's the dictator. It's like, but meanwhile, like one of the other guys, like the fool, and then the other guy is the grief knight. He only has power when he's like super sad. So like when he gets like shit on, and his life is terrible, and then he can have some power. If things are going well for him and he's okay, he sucks. It's like, Jesus, this is terrible. Oh well. It's okay. It's fine. This is more of a situation where this book was so hyped to me. Like, people were like, this is the best book on shelves. And I'm reading it going, scratching my head going, really? This is the thing? This is the thing that everyone was going ape shit about? All right. Well, I hope you guys will continue to join me. The next episode will be on Thursday. For those of you that are still here, I appreciate it. Thank you. I do have to say there is a possibility Thursday's show may not come on. I have something going on here that may prohibit me from doing the show. I do not actually know yet. So if you show up at 10 and you don't see the thing scheduled to go, then you can presume that it's not going. I will try to at least, like I normally do, at least an hour before the show, I'll set like, hey, the show is going to run at 10. So you can kind of check and see if it's there. But if you don't see that pop up by 10, then you know, because we're doing we're putting new floors in, and we basically got to move like everything out of the downstairs, which is where I'm at. And I don't know how that's going to be all done, if I'm going to even have my computer set up, so we'll see how that goes Thursday. But if not, if for some reason I'm not, I should be back Sunday, same bat time, same bat channel. And as always, I like to gush and guffaw over all you guys being here. I appreciate, honestly, your support, seeing you guys in chat, giving me stuff to talk about, just listening to me ramble on about nothing and whatever. It's the whole point of doing it. So thank you. I hope I'll catch you again. Ed says, until next time. And Ronnie says, take care, everyone, and stay safe out there. I echo those statements. Tomorrow's New Comic Book Day. Hope you're getting some real good. I've got some good comics coming in. Can't wait.